Introduction. Objectives. To refresh and increase your current understanding of health and safety issues. To highlight the importance of operating safely. To increase your understanding of your individual roles and responsibilities to maintain a safe workplace. The Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 states that it shall be the duty of every employer to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, the health, safety and welfare at work of all its employees. The Act also states that it shall be the duty of every employee while at work to take reasonable care of their health and safety of himself and other persons who may be affected by his acts or omissions at work. What incidents are required to be reported to the office? Well, all accidents, regardless of severity, dangerous occurrences, and near misses. If any of the above occur, then make sure you fill out the accident book immediately and then inform the office so that an accident incident investigation can be carried out. You must return any accident book entries to the office. Incorrect lifting techniques may cause serious and lasting damage to your back and spine. Please ensure you are lifting with the correct technique and with assistance if required. The most common reason for work-related ill health is MSDS. 1 in 3 people will suffer from MSDS whilst at work. When considering anything to do with lifting objects, always remember to plan the operation. Where is the load to go? Can handling aids be used? Will assistance be required? Is the route clear? Will a resting place be required? Always ensure that you're on a balanced and stable base. Leading leg forward. And remember, unsuitable footwear will make this very difficult. Bend the knees. Don't kneel or overflex the knees. Slightly flex the back. Lean forward to get a good grip. And always keep your shoulders level. Manual handling. Grip. Arms within boundary of legs. Position and type of grip depends on circumstances. If changing grip, do so smoothly. Manual handling. Lifting. Always keep the heaviest side closest to the body. Slide towards you before lifting. Keep load close to the body. Use strength in legs. Avoid jerking and twisting. Manual handling. Hold. Keep load close to body. Avoid changing grip. And most importantly, look where you are going. Safe use of work equipment. Strimmers. Always ensure you are wearing hearing protection and full face shield. Prior to switching the machine on, always ensure that there are no people within 10 meters of the working area and all guards are in place. Stop work immediately if any person approaches closer than 10 meters. Never leave the machine running when unattended or placed on the ground when running. If any item becomes entangled around the machine, switch it off and wait till it has stopped rotating before attempting to clear it. Caution must be exercised when using on slopes or on wet grass. You could slip and injure yourself. Safe use of work equipment. Grass cutting. Prior to commencing work, check that all guards are correctly fitted, fuel level is sufficient and blades are correctly adjusted. Always check the area to be cut for debris which could be ejected by the blades and cause injury to you or persons in the vicinity. Hearing protection to be worn at all times, and seatbelts are to be worn at all times when using ride-on machines. In the event of breakdown or malfunction, switch off the machine immediately and report the problem to your supervisor. Do not attempt to carry out any repairs, alterations or modifications unless you have been trained and authorised to do so. Do not smoke when refueling. Do not add fuel when the engine is running. Switch it off and wait for it to cool down first. Safe use of work equipment. Chainsaw. Only persons who are in possession of a certificate qualifying them to operate chainsaws are allowed to use them. Ensure the blade tension is correctly set and the blade cutter guard is removed before switching on. Never leave chainsaw running when unattended or leave on the ground with cutter blades exposed. Ensure that the work area is clear of any item that could cause you or others to slip, trip or fall. Hearing protection is to be worn at all times when using this equipment. Do not use this tool for more than 20 minutes in any 60-minute period. In the event of a breakdown or malfunction, switch off the machine immediately and report the problem to your supervisor. Do not attempt to carry out any repairs, alterations or modifications unless you have been trained and authorised to do so. Safe use of work equipment. Hedge cutters. Prior to switching the machine on, always check area of hedge to be cut for wire, etc. which can be thrown by the machine. Always ensure that all safety switches and shields are attached and functioning correctly. If a bee's, wasps or hornet's nest is discovered or suspected in the hedge to be cut, do not approach or attempt to cut closer than 1 metre from the rest of the nest. Inform the client and do not attempt to interfere or destroy the nest. If a step ladder has to be used to gain access to the work area and the work area around the base is uneven or the step ladder becomes unsteady for whatever reason, get a second person to hold and steady it. In the event of a breakdown or malfunction, switch off the machine immediately and report the problem to your supervisor. Do not attempt to carry out any repairs, alterations or modifications unless you have been trained and authorised to do so. Safe use of work equipment. Hand tools. The correct lifting technique is to be used at all times. If the item to be worked on is heavy or bulky, get assistance. If the operation creates dust, wear a dust mask. Hearing protection to be worn when using any tool that generates excessive noise or using it in a designated hearing protection area. Always check hand tools prior to use for damage and suitability for the job in hand. Check items such as loose heads on hammers, mushrooming of handles on chisels, damage to insulation on screwdrivers, etc. Always use a brush to clean the blade tool. Do not use your fingers. PPE. Always wear personal protection when the task requires it. If you do not have the correct PPE, then do not carry out the activity until you have received it. If you believe that a certain task or job requires PPE that has not been identified, inform your supervisor immediately. Check your PPE before use. Do not wear damaged or broken PPE as it will not protect you. Always store your PPE in a safe and dry place where it will not become damaged. First aid. In the event of an accident, please alert your nearest first aid responder. Designated first aiders are Office, Miles Lomas and Louise Wainwright. Towers, Carl Summer. Haywood, Ian Snedden. Mobile maintenance teams, Mark Reynolds, Will Hodcroft, Sean Healy, Paul Galuli and Kyle Pickering. If for any reason there is no first aider nearby, then contact the emergency services by phoning 999. Do not attempt to administer any first aid unless you are trained to do so, or you are given specific instructions from the ambulance service. You must know what procedures to follow in the event of a fire. In the event of a fire, raise the alarm immediately. Act swiftly. Don't take risks, and don't panic. Evacuate the area or building if necessary, and proceed to the nearest fire escape. Meet at the designated fire assembly point. Fire safety. Never attempt to extinguish a fire unless you are trained to do so, or the fire is blocking your only escape route. Contact the emergency services immediately. Never re-enter a building during a fire for any reason. If you believe someone in your team to be missing, inform the attending fire service. Vehicles. Vehicle and machinery sheet signing. Please ensure you are completing the relevant pre-usage check sheets for vehicles and equipment each day. Ensure that you are signing the form and dating at the bottom. Completed check sheets are to be returned to the office for filing with the health and safety records or completed on PACE. Vehicles, securing loads. Any plant equipment that is being carried on the back of trucks or trailers must be appropriately secured down with straps. Failure to do so could lead to the equipment falling from the vehicle and causing injury to yourself or another person. Any waste material, including green waste, must be secured down with netting to prevent it from blowing off the back of the wagon. Lone working. Ensure your mobile phone is fully charged and close to you at all times. Program the contact ICE into your phone. Inform the office of your location and expected duration in case you cannot be contacted. Contact should be made with the office at least every 2 hours. Sharps and needle stick injuries. Do not place hands in collection of waste if you cannot see what's in there. Do not remove needles or other such items. Leave them in place and report the location to a supervisor, who will inform the client for them to arrange appropriate disposal. Ensure all cuts or abrasions are covered with waterproof dressings. Heavy-duty gloves and safety boots with midsole protection should be worn at all times when conducting activities where needle injuries are likely. Sharps, needle stick injuries. In the event of a skin-penetrating injury, any wound should be encouraged to bleed and the patient should be taken to the nearest A&E department. Potential diseases associated with needle stick injuries include hepatitis B and C, tetanus, HIV. Gritting. Ensure you are following lone working procedures. Stop the gritting operation if a member of the public approaches and do not commence again until they have passed. Take care on slopes when entering and exiting vehicles, as surfaces may be icy and slippery. Correct lifting techniques are to be used at all times when carrying grit bags. Unload the grit as close as possible to the area of spreading and only unload enough grit to fill the hopper of the spreader. Push the spreader in front of you, taking care when lowering and lifting it onto and off the footpath and when crossing the road. The delivery vehicle is to have its hazard warning lights and amber beacon on at all times during the spreading operation. Pesticides. All spraying operations are to be carried out by persons in possession of a valid certificate issued for the class of chemicals being sprayed. Ensure that the area to be sprayed is kept clear of all other persons. All chemicals to be stored in a lockable chemical store. All chemicals are to be used in accordance with the appropriate COSH assessment, including disposal recommendations. If at any time during the spraying operation, or within 24 hours, you start to suffer from nausea, prolonged headaches, shortness of breath, reddening of the skin, or generally feeling unwell, seek immediate medical attention and inform the company at the earliest opportunity.